there is somebody inside of you might want to be paying more attention to. Today we're going to have a little story time out of our good friend Andreas Moritz, out of his book, The Amazing Liver and Gallbladder Flush. Chapter 1. Gallstones in the liver, a major health risk. Think of the liver as a large city with thousands of houses and streets. There are underground pipes for delivering water, oil, and gas. Sewage systems and garbage trucks remove the city's waste products. Power lines bring energy into the homes and businesses. Factories, transport systems, communication networks, and stores meet the daily living requirements of the residents. The organization of city life is such that it can provide all that it needs for the continued existence of the population. But if a major strike, a power outage, a devastating earthquake, or a major act of terrorism, such as the one we witnessed here on September 11th, 2001, I'm not going to get into that, suddenly paralyzes city life, the population will begin to suffer serious shortcomings in all these vital sectors. Like a city's infrastructure, the liver has hundreds of different functions and is connected with every part of the body. At every moment of the day, this vital organ is involved in manufacturing, processing, and supplying vast amounts of nutrients for the 60 to 100 trillion inhabitants cells of the body. Each cell is, in itself, a microscopic city of immense complexity that generates billions of biochemical reactions per second. So, cities inside of cities. To sustain the incredibly diverse activities of all the cells of the body without disruption, the liver must supply them with a constant and uninterrupted stream of nutrients, enzymes, and hormones. With its intricate labyrinth of veins, ducts, and specialized cells, the liver needs to be completely unobstructed in order to maintain a problem-free production line and frictionless distribution system throughout the body. We're going to stop there today and just talk about that a little bit. So we're making an analogy. Andreas Moritz is inviting us into an analogy of the liver as a metropolis all on its own. Well, actually, it's the liver and the body as one unit, but it's like the liver itself is a city, the body itself is a city, and every single cell is also a city. And so imagining also, we'll get to more of what that liver is actually doing functionally and physiologically. But one of those things is filtering the blood of the entire body all day long, every minute. And just imagine, I don't know if you guys have seen what has come out of my liver, but check it out if you haven't. That's just one day's example, one pass. But yeah, so the liver is made up of a ton of cells. It's cool because all of the cells, most of them can all do many functions, and they're set up as this like comprehensive grid, almost like a sponge that's like washed back and forth, all these little ducts and veins and arteries. And so they are cleaning the blood, and they are receiving from the blood nutrients and everything they need to do their work. And they're also releasing back into the stream, into the bile stream and into the bloodstream, the things that they are producing to help the rest of the empire. And so these, if you imagine, there's big bile duct, there's like the entrance of the blood So there's these like portal veins. There's portal arteries. They're the highway system. It's coming in. The highway system coming in and approaching the capital city, you know? And so we've got like highways, we've got the freeways coming in, and then we've got like county roads coming off of there, and then we've got like boulevards, and then we've got like the neighborhood streets, and then there's even some like stragglers out there, maybe down a dirt road, those cul-de-sac things. So there's different lobes in the liver, and you know, the edges and the deep parts of it, they need to be gotten to by these little roads. So there's like these tiny little roads, and then there's the slightly larger roads, and then right, it gets into the highway, and the highway is what brings it out to the rest of the empire. So it doesn't all clog up at once. It kind of starts with like just a little bit. They're like, you know, we gotta find somewhere to hide that thing. Like there's like weird packages coming into the city, and we're just gonna just like stash them down at the end of the road. We're gonna put them way down there. No one will even notice, you know? And so they bring them down the dirt road. There's a house at the end of the road, just like an old man lived down there. But they support the city, you know? And they also, so they're knitting hats or something, and they offer those up for the greater good. And so they provide those. And, they receive mail down there at the end of the road, end of the dirt road. It's a long, twisty road. Nobody really goes down there, but there are a few people down there, and, you know, they do bring their groceries in, and there's also mail delivery, and they also have some trash that they bring out. They have to bring it themselves. There isn't even, like, a trash pickup at that point, but like, these people from the capital, the main, you know, the center of the capital, they start bringing some like weird packages, and they're putting them on the mountain, like over behind the house, or, you know, right in front of, kind of like to the side of the house. They're just kind of stacking them on the mountain. No worries, you know, nobody's being harmed at all. But then at a certain point, the mountain, it's like it reaches a threshold, and then like a wind comes and knocks a bunch of packages down, and it starts a landslide, and then part of their road starts to get blocked, and then like more packages get delivered, but they can't really get them all the way through, and there's this landslide, and it starts to pile up with like leaves and sticks and stuff. And then the poor people, you know, the mailman now, he's leaving their mail at the top of the road, at the top of the driveway, you know, and he can't get through there. And the people, you know, they would drive to town and get their groceries, but they can't get past this landslide anymore. So like they send the old man out, you know, to try to get something on foot, and all they can do is get to the neighbor's house, you know. They send him home with a meal, but it's getting a little dicey. They can't get out anymore, and still more packages just being shoved over there. They got to find something to do with it, and so it's being blocked off, and the road's impassable, and the stream that was going to their house where they got their water, that's also being choked out by the like landslide of rocks and sticks and stuff, and these people are starting to starve. And they can't get their products out either. Nobody's coming to pick up their hats or anything that they're making. So they start, you know, they're making some phone calls like, "Hey guys, we're not okay. Like somebody's got to bring us some food." And it's getting pretty quiet and lonely over there, and they start to they're losing weight. They're not doing so well. They're calling out these messages, and people start coming, and they're trying to help them. But then someone else's car gets stuck in the pile of junk on the road, and then they can't even get through to them. And there starts to be more cars are coming because there's like a message of help. You know, there's a cry for help. and the cars are piling up a little bit at the top of that road, and so now the whole road's blocked. And the people, they're dying, actually. And then, so it's like, there's that dirt road, but then it starts like the other small neighborhood roads, and people are trying to come to help them. Now they're trying to come to say goodbye and like pick up their effects that they need. You know, family members are coming and they're getting stuck. And then the neighborhood right there, the neighborhood is they're getting these, you know, they're still getting packages and mail, and there's now this like car pileup, and there's cars still, you know, people are trying to bring in more food, but it's getting a little bit congested there. It's getting kind of thick with cars, and now there's also those people, the neighborhood people, they're starting to not be able to get out as easily, and so they're starting to walk to go get their stuff instead of driving all the cars, because the cars are just, it's like gridlocked, all the cars in there, and they're getting stuck. And so people are, you know, they're making it work. They're going on foot, and they're going and getting their milk and getting their water, but they have to be like more careful with their water, and they're starting to like ration the food, and they're also, you know, their resources aren't coming in as easy, so they're also not able to spend as much time on producing. They're a little bit more in survival mode, and you know, they're calling for some help, like, hey, we need some DoorDash, like we need some extra supplies over here, you know. And then the cars are coming and getting messed up. Well, there's too many cars there, and so the trash pickup also hasn't been able to make it through for a couple weeks, and it's starting to get stinky. They've got trash piling up, and all these cars, and like, you know, the creek isn't flowing anymore. It's getting kind of swampy, and now animals are starting to come, and flies are coming to the trash, and so it's like, you know, vultures and weird predator animal, you know, scavenger animals are coming. They're attracted to this starting to stink and pile up, and the people are starting to look a little weathered, you know. They're getting a little thin, they're having some trouble. Pretty soon they're, you know, not even going to be able to get out of there, because it's becoming quite a pile of mud and sludge. It's slippery, it's decomposing, there's flies, there's like infections starting to go around. So they're calling for help. You know, that whole neighborhood is like, yo, I don't know what's going on, like my neighbor's not okay, I'm not okay. We're sending out some cries for help, you know. And so then the boulevard over here, it starts getting more busy. There's a lot of mail that needs to be delivered, and it's like it can't get delivered, so then it's like staying in the stream, and so then like they have to bring it back to the office, and they don't really know what's going on. They're confused, and then the trash isn't coming out, and it's becoming a real messy stink pile over there. And actually, like, you know, part of that stink and stench is that, and why some of these scavengers are attracted, is because those people died down the road, you know, and nobody can even go in and get them out. They suffocated, they starved. And more people are starting to starve. And also, now the center of the capital is like, hey, we're not receiving a regular production, and so now we need to work harder in the center of the capital. And they're like kind of like busting balls. They're trying to keep everything going and getting it out to the empire, because the empire relies on them, you know. And so the boulevard it's you know, it's getting really congested. There's still a little bit of movement, but it's like streams, you know, the motorcycles make it through, the pedestrians, you know, people running different errands, but the trucks and the cars is starting not be able to move so much. And so the production from the city has, it's really, now it's relying on certain people in the center. And in the center, the center of the capital, they were more like, they had to do a lot of managing and making sure the flows of everything was going, and there was a lot of transport and stuff like that. But now they're having to pick up the slack and try to do all of what all of the people in the area were taking care of. They're barely surviving. They're like choking out on the gases from the compost tea that is accidentally happening, all around them. So, and now in the center of the capital, yeah, they're whirling around, they're running around, they're starting to like break down their equipment because they're working so hard, and they're also like, they have to consume a lot of resources, and they're like starting to run on caffeine, because they don't have time to like sit down and have a proper meal, and everything is like, it's just different than when you had the help of the whole community, like the water that's coming in, it needs a lot of purification, but there's all those nice sort of bogs and pastures and recycling systems. Those are down, the outskirts are down, and so they're having to just lower their expectations, and kind of come to a different standard. And so they're sending out water that is, they're sending out stuff to the empire that's not their highest standard, sending out questionable water, questionable food, and they're also getting really tired, they're working really hard. And then it's like, and then basically like something was sent out to the empire, and the empire was like, we don't want this. This isn't good. We're return to sender, They sent it back to the capital, and it was a big delivery. It was like a few semis, starting to be like, the train ships are coming back, and they're like, you're cold. We're sending it back. So, and then they start, it starts piling up on the county roads. You've got like trucks on the side of the road, kind of like you have to squeeze around them. You're not sure if you're supposed to pass, so like the traffic's getting slowed down, and it's starting to just, everyone's a little bit wary, like, are we gonna make it to where we're trying to go today? And it's getting dicey. And then pretty soon, like, the production from the city has dropped a lot, and pretty soon they have to tell the empire, hey, that project we were helping you with, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to complete that on schedule, and in fact, we're going to have to withdraw our research. You're going to have to take care of that on your own. You have to find another way, like bring in some help, or like cancel something upstream that needed this project. For example, when the bile flow from the liver starts to drop, the stomach acid has to drop, because the bile usually neutralizes the stomach acid when it gets to that point. And so if there's not enough bile flow, because they're just working as hard as they can, but like barely anything can come out through all that congestion and blockage, then then the body's going to get the signal to stop the production of stomach acid. And as you know, that presents a lot of problems. So here we are. What stage are you at? Is it the beginning stages of just tucking a few toxic packages away on the mountainside, cutting off a few elderly folks in the countryside? Not that big of a deal, but if you go years with that kind of cut off from blood supply and nutrients in the way that I suspect has happened to parts of my liver, I mean, I don't want to say anything I think the body is amazing, and the liver especially is extremely regenerative. But there is a thing called cirrhosis, and what cirrhosis is when the cells and groups of cells die. You know, it turns hard and black because they die. So if you go a really long time having different lobes and areas of your liver cut off because of this extreme congestion, those neighborhoods will shut down, and some people are going to perish. And again, that's also brings us to the whole magpie, fly, and vulture situation. The rats come out, you know, and this is the yeasts, the viruses, the bacteria, and the parasites. Those guys are the scavengers, and they help to decompose dead material, dead or really toxic material. And so that's part of how we end up with all of these pathogens and infections. It's not like, oh, those bad infections, those bad pathogens. It's like, why have they been invited to be there? How is the ecosystem calling that animal? How is the ecosystem calling that creature? How is the environment creating flies, you know? So we've got a city, and we've got a capital city that is taking care of a lot for the empire. And we haven't even gotten into the fact that every single cell also has a full-on spectrum of universe in there, taking care of itself, each other, and sharing out to the bigger picture too. So it's important to evaluate if your liver is free and flowing, and it's one of the most important things to have that organ moving, you know, and to have it getting the nutrients it needs, the nourishment, the blood flow, so that it can supply all that out to the body. So I hope that was entertaining for you, and I think you should go watch this video about how to unstuck that stuff, how to start getting those packages out by the lotful, it's like we want to bring train in and start loading the train. You have to do it from the front, you know. You have to load the train, all the different cars, fill them up as much as you can, you know. Get it as efficient as possible and take that train on the road. Get that train out of there. Take it to the ends of the earth. That's the colon. It's coming out, right? Coming out of the body, over the edge, toss it over the edge. You can do that. You can actually reverse this process and start to breathe life back into that city and back down those little streets. And that's why they say even the little stones are good to get out. Even the little stones count a lot, because it could be those little roads, and then you have a whole road that's opened up, and there's families back there. They're good families, you know. You want them to be able to participate in the kingdom. So yeah, go watch this one.